Hi, Martin here. A little while ago, I was asked to do a new IT strategy, and when I looked at strategies that existed, I wasn't encouraged. And rather than just do a new IT strategy, I thought I'd do a new approach to strategy. I've tried something different to reimagine strategy. So I did a presentation a while ago, and I thought I'd share it with you here. So let me share my screen. Just bear with me a little while. Okay, hopefully you can see the slides. Okay, so reimagining strategy. If you want to get to this slideshow, have a look at the link at the bottom right-hand corner. That's got the link to this set of slides on Google Slideshow. So when I looked at people's responses to strategies, they weren't encouraging. I got a lot of defensive responses. Why on earth are they making me do this? What's the point of all this? There was no meaning. And worst of all, of course, were some decision makers that were finding that the strategies that were being produced didn't help them make any decisions. And that's the whole point of strategy, in a sense, is, if you've got some uncertainty, the strategy should help you make a decision. So I was finding strategies were becoming prescriptive, meaningless, even divisive. They weren't helpful. They weren't positive in any way. They were becoming confused. They were becoming action-oriented, stick and tick. There was a set of deadlines, actions to be performed. If, of course, you didn't perform the action, there was probably some punishment, but if you did, there was some tick. There was becoming a bit of a tick box exercise. Prescription. People were given prescriptions. It's not surprising we got the kind of defensive reactions we did. It's the same kind of reaction you get to some kind of catastrophic news, like patients that are diagnosed with a terminal illness. The same model implies a lot to imposed change. The grief cycle of denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and final acceptance. Denial, oh my God, why are they making me do this? Anger, oh, this is crazy. Bargaining, maybe, okay, I could do this if I have certain resources, blah, blah, blah. Depression, and finally acceptance. I'll find a lot of strategies are sort of fast-tracked in to try to get to the acceptance phase as quickly as possible, but it's not really the most inspiring, most effective way of making a strategy or using a strategy. In fact, what's going on, I find, is that strategies are becoming so dense, sometimes 70 pages of detailed action. You can't see the big picture. You can't see the forest for the trees. You can't see where you're going. And the reason being, in a sense, that strategy has often been confused with planning, if not replaced with planning. And as Mintzberg said, that's an oxymoron. A strategy is all about analysis. In fact, it often begins with analysis, often a SWOT analysis. Look at your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, and then create some kind of action plan to address those strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, often copying some kind of action plan from some other organization or mixing them from various organizations. Strategies are all starting to look the same. They're becoming predictable, generic, uninspiring and dull. And the whole process of this confusion of strategic planning, it can backfire big time, narrowing vision, discouraging change, breeding an atmosphere of politics and destroying commitment. So it's time to reimagine, try and do something else. What needs to be done? Well, Mintzberg and I would also say separate strategy and planning. They are different things. Strategy is about why you want to do something, and planning is about how. As I referred to the slides earlier, where so much of strategy was about how and not why. People were confused about why we were doing things. They knew how we were supposed to do it. It was all prescribed, but there was no answer to the meaning of why. So strategy is about where you want to get to. It doesn't describe the route. It just says you want to get from A to B. And the people in IT know about routes very well. There's often, in networking, multiple routes with different costs involved. That is the planning, the how. So, as every good consultant and author has, there's a follow-up book. So Mintzberg, after describing the problems with strategy, the fall of strategy, describes a different approach to strategy, strategic thinking in Strategy Strikes Back, or Bites Back, sorry. So for Mintzberg, he says strategy has to position, it has to inspire. And he says that an uninspiring strategy is no strategy at all. And in that book, the favourite chapters of mine were by, I can't say the lady's name, Jean Liedtke, I'm not sure how to say that name, but two chapters about strategy as a positive force. You know, and in one chapter, strategy is a little black dress. She says it should be simple, makes you feel good, and give you confidence and openness to new adventures. Strategy and the Art of Seduction, another chapter by in the same book. You know, treat your employees like lovers instead of prostitutes. Or in the case of prescriptive strategies, instead of patients, treat them as if they're not in hospital. It's about conversation, patience. It's about focusing on possibilities rather than risks, constraints, and uncertainties, because that's what planning does. Planning looks at the risks. It doesn't like uncertainty. So what should strategy be? Well, I was tempted to ditch the word strategy altogether and just have philosophy, but a lot of people don't like that. But in a sense, strategy is philosophy. It's a theory or attitude that acts as a guiding principle for behaviour. But if you recast this as a more traditional strategic phrase, it's a logic for making one set of choices rather than another. And overall, it should be simple. It should be what I call fractal. It should be able to apply at all levels. And most of all, it should be meaningful if we can try and make it meaningful. What should strategy do? Well, it should guide, inspire, and engage. Most of all, it's about people rather than systems. And for an IT strategy, I see it as a kind of intersection of at least these four major factors: the people, the curriculum, the business, and the technology. This is a IT strategy for education. And let's remember that often the future is already here amongst us. The leading edge are practicing things that may be adopted in the future. There's a lot of different experiments going on that we can select from. It's another kind of thing I'm not mentioning here really, is strategy as a portfolio of experiments, and an evolutionary approach where you can select different experiments according to the environment. It's an adaptive approach to strategy. And of course, the faster you travel, the further ahead you must look. If you're traveling at 100 miles an hour, it's no use looking at the road 6 feet in front of your car. So it's good to look far out and wide. So strategy, where do we want to go? Okay, well, that's the end of the presentation. So what I'll do next is to show you the type of a strategic approach that I've been working on. So that's coming up next, maybe the next hangout. Okay, thanks for your time. Okay, bye.